Alright, hello. My name is Dr. Kill. No relation to Doctor Strange. I will be doing an LP of Ocarina of Time, but in a way that most people probably have never ever seen it, including many speedrunners, which is a community that I sort of come from. So I'll just get right into it right away and explain sort of what I'm going for here. So this is sort of unofficially, maybe officially titled Let's Play Ocarina of Time Super Wrong. And my goal is to go through all the major components of Ocarina of Time, which would be the dungeons and the inventory items, but get them in entirely the wrong way. And the easiest rule of thumb I have for that is that any adult items and any adult goals that you have, I will attempt to do as child, and you should be able to do most of them. And the reverse as well, I will be doing child stuff as adult. There will be a couple exceptions to that based on whether or not I think it's too tedious or too annoying, or it locks out something else that I think is more interesting. So that'll be the general goal. And even in this first video, I should be getting a lot of cool stuff. So, and I'll be explaining that along the way. The secondary goal of this is to just sort of show off all the glitches and explain them. Just the stuff that's in the game, stuff that isn't commonly seen even from a speedrunner, which again is where I'm a community that I'm from. So I'll be using a lot of speedrunning strategies, a lot of things that speedrunners do, but so much of the stuff I'll be doing is just so much slower than a speedrunner would want. So even a lot of stuff you'll see in here you'll never see in a speedrun. So hopefully it'll be interesting for anyone who isn't familiar with Ocarina of Time that much, or just maybe just enough to sort of find this interesting. And even maybe if you're really familiar with the game, it'll be, and its glitches, maybe it'll still be pretty cool. That's my goal. So, just so I have something to talk about until this cutscene ends, I want to explain also just a lot of stuff about this game, even if it's not necessarily related to glitches. And version differences is something I'll go over quickly. I'm playing on the virtual console version, which is version 1.2. So there's 3 different versions, 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, that were on the N64. Each of those has a couple of its own little glitches and changes that they did. Anything after N64 is a 1.2 version, but being transported to other platforms causes a lot of other glitches. Virtual console specifically has some cool stuff that I'll be using, mostly caused by different RAM usage, I suppose. A lot of stuff that would crash on N64 is possible on Virtual Console. I'll be going over that a little bit later. There's also English and Japanese version. I'm playing on English. Every version has English and Japanese. There's no difference between English and Japanese in a particular version, except that Japanese text is faster because it just displays faster than English text. Alright, so starting off, a lot of people are aware that backwalking is the most consistent way to travel fast. It's not actually the fastest way to travel, even just without sort of any extra items and stuff, but it's the easiest way to do it consistently. If you wanted to go absolutely the fastest, you'd be side hopping everywhere, but you have to do that sort of frame perfect, every single side hop. So this, oh, see, I went too fast there actually, but side hopping is absolutely the fastest, but it's just much too hard for a human to be able to do it, ideally. So backwalking is usually the way to go. Backwalking actually isn't that much faster than just rolling either. But again, having to roll constantly, you have to time it just right, and you have to keep mashing a button. So it's just backwalking is just the most consistent and easiest way to do it. So right now I got the sword. You can actually skip it, but because of the things I'm doing, it's just easier to get it now. There's actually no way to get it as an adult, so that sort of violates my my sort of rule of thumb, but I can't really do anything about that. You can leave the forest with just like a stick, but I won't be doing that. But that would be the absolute fastest way to get out of the forest. So what I'm doing right now would be the fastest way, well, yeah, absolutely the fastest way to get out of the forest. There's another way, which some people might be familiar with. Okay, I actually screwed it up. But there's another way that people might be more familiar with, is just going out the normal entrance, using the guy that sort of pushes you around. But that gets you the Ocarina, and I don't want to do that right now. So I just leave this way. And the way that worked is that you sort of position yourself so that when you jump slash towards the corner there, it sort of shoves you through the little block there, and you just go into the loading zone, which is actually like surprisingly far up. Normally you're supposed to just dive down, which I can't do since I can't dive that deeply, but I can just do what I just did. So a very quick way to get out of the forest. You have to go down the lake though. So I mean that's I guess sort of a negative. Real quick trick here. I mentioned that backwalking is the fastest way without anything. Well, this would be something like the fastest way using a glitch. I'll probably be explaining it a little bit more later, but by recoiling into the water and coming out and holding the control stick in a certain way, you sort of go backwards really fast. And that is absolutely the fastest way to travel that speed. There are lots of different versions of that trick. Sort of basically the trick behind it, so to speak, is that doing that control stick sort of position sort of causes your animation to sort of I guess bug out, and he's just constantly trying to rotate. So it's this little action there, this little rotation. Oops, this little rotation there. Holding that while recoiling from something like going through water, or well, in that case it was hitting the wall. Recoiling, going in the water, leaving it, and holding that position. He keeps trying to rotate, and doing that keeps the speed of that recoil. Very, very interesting trick. Sort of hard to learn just because it's a very slight position to hold. Takes some getting used to, especially on a GameCube controller, which I'm using. It sort of relies on the dead zone of a control stick, analog stick, and the GameCube one is a lot more precise than N64. It's a lot easier, apparently. I've never had a good N64 controller to test it on, so I've only done it on GameCube controller. Okay, so this whole time I've been collecting cuckoos. This is the fastest way to get a bottle, which will be incredibly useful. Most people agree that the bottle is like by far the most broken item in this game and in probably all video games ever. It causes a lot of glitches. It is responsible for a significant amount of the cool stuff that this game lets you do. So I need this bottle. You have to get a bottle as a child. Because the only bottle you can get as an adult. Oops. The only bottle you can get as an adult, you need other bottles for. So this isn't the most ideal way. I screwed up a little bit, and I went into that hole. That was for a specific reason. I'm gonna need Navi coming up soon, and she goes away if you take too long. So I just sort of reset the timer by going in the hole. So normally you don't need to do that, but I'm doing something a little bit special here. So I need to herd a chicken really bad. Oh, okay. I need to not die, but I need a little amount of health. Okay, I should be fine. Uh-oh. Actually, well, let's see. If I can make it. Okay, I'm fine. So, it's a bit silly that I had to do this, but it's for a really cool trick. What I needed to do is lower my health to at least a heart. And what that happens is it'll start making fairies spawn in bushes and stuff. And I need a fairy. And this is sort of the best way. Oh, look, here we go. Right away. Normally sometimes that can take a lot longer. So that's good. And I actually need some regular health. Fairies are actually kind of annoying to get right at this point of the game. I have like no equipment to like work with. If I had a stick, I could have gotten a fairy. Even a lot of people who know a lot of this game might not know that if you hold a stick up to some butterflies, they'll turn into a fairy. Or maybe they do. It's kind of one of those funny little things you learn about as a kid. There's also a fairy fountain in the graveyard. I would need bombs for that. I don't have any explosives. So that was sort of the fastest way for me to get a fairy at this point in the game. Then I use Navi to do this. It's called a Navi dive. What happens is that pulling up the Navi text while sort of on a ledge causes you to sort of just fall. Like he doesn't sort of collide with the water, and that lets you go right into the well. One of many ways into the well early. Not the smoothest, but that's fine. So I'm in the well to get some goodies that are in here. If you've seen any speedruns, then you might know that this is a good spot to get Bombchus really quickly. Bombchus are super cool. Lets you do a lot of things you're not supposed to because they're explosions, and the game sort of balances around getting explosions from Dodong's Cavern after doing a bunch of stuff. So you get them early here. Super useful. I'm in here for this chest right here. It's a DQ shield. I could have gotten one in the forest, and it might have been a little bit faster actually the way I'm doing this. But actually, I guess it doesn't matter too much. But I got that shield, and then there's a healing shield right here. Some nice little goodies. Oh, and again, my general rule of thumb here is trying to do it child stuff as adult and vice versa. You can't really do the well as an adult. You can get in. It's not particularly hard getting in, but just into the first room. But there's a whole lot of crawl spaces, and an adult just can't deal with those. Can't really get past them. There's just not enough in here to like glitch around them. Oops! Wow, it's bad. So I'm doing another glitch right here. It's called the actor glitch. What I'm trying to do is sort of load the room that door leads to while still being in this large room here. Causes a lot of issues. Okay, like that. So it's opening the door, and the enemies and stuff are in there are loaded. But I'm still in this room, and it sort of deloads everything in this room. Like, I'm not splashing through the water right now because the water, despite the texture being there, is gone. Again, it's sort of a very common trick people might know about. See, no water here. And that lets you go this way without lowering the water, which you would need Zelda's Lullaby for. Equip my shield. So again, I'm in here because I need to load this room in order to load all the stuff back in the other room. including a chest. That is the whole purpose of me being here, basically. Oops. But also, that means I also have to fight this thing that I'm not doing super good at. That's okay. Easy peasy. Lens of Truth right there. Like I said, that would be something I would like to get as an adult for this run, but where is it? It's just too hard, or it might even be impossible. I don't think it is possible, or it would just be incredibly tedious to do so. Got that invisible chest with some rupees just for some money, and getting the Lens of Truth. So I'm not getting it as an adult, but I am definitely getting it out of order. You're definitely not supposed to get this early. I can't even use it. You need a magic bar in order to use it. It just does that error sound if you were trying to take it out. Okay, so sort of complicated glitch coming up. Those vines are really neato in that when you grab onto them, there's like a frame where you're sort of inside them. And if you get hit on that on the proper frame, you basically go through the wall. It only works as child. Adult is just too big. So, get hit, turn a certain direction, go this way. And the whole point of that was to get to this chest here, which has the Bombchus. Super cool. They're your best friend. They give you explosions right away, so you don't have to do all the stuff that you normally need to do to get bombs. So there's now I'll be doing a very crazy glitch that was sort of recently found back in February. It takes a little bit of setup. I have to go over here, sort of explode this. Save just in case. There's a chest right there. That chest is important. I'm just taking some damage here. I'll explain it along the way. It's actually a very complicated glitch that basically took years to find, or years to sort of put all together. Wait on this little guy here. This giant flaming skull. Let him pass. There is a stick in this pot, and I will be using that for a cool glitch. So every time you pick up something for the first time, there's that animation of it going over your head. I will be taking advantage of that. So another... Oh shit, no. Oh no. Ah, okay, sorry. Sort of screwed it up. So the trick I'm about to do is called GIM, or GIM. It stands for Get Item Manipulation. It's called that because the specific routine that it'll actually be glitching out is one called Get Item. It's it is the sort of the routine that the game uses when it gives you an item. And I'll be screwing it up. So I need to get... I'm using that stick to trigger an animation. That will glitch out of the game. But I need to get that stick in a specific mode. And that's why I just did that. I died out of bounds in water. And that causes the game to sort of screw up the camera. And if I get the stick while I have that screwed up camera, enemies still move. And if this enemy hits me, suddenly I'm moving around while I have this sort of stick on me and getting the dialogue box right. Now I'm in a very strange state of the game. Very easy to crash, I believe, or well, maybe not even. It's actually surprisingly stable considering what it does. It can be crashed depending on what item you get. The stick is relatively stable, and the Deku nut is as well. A key point of doing this trick is standing in front of a chest, not opening it or anything like that, just standing in front of it. And then if I were to jump in some water, suddenly I have a red potion? What's this? Well, neither of these options do anything. I can press buy, it doesn't do anything. But, despite this saying red potion, what I have now instead is the fairy slingshot. And this slingshot works like a slingshot. It's not a fake slingshot at all. It shoots bullets just fine. It gives you 30 Deku seeds, just like the regular chest would, and I have the bullet bag. It's absolutely a slingshot in sort of any way the game understands. And I did that obviously without opening the slingshot chest. So that's the get item manipulation. You're sort of tricking the game into giving you an item you obviously didn't get. The limitation on that is there's actually not a lot of items you can get this way. You need a lot of sort of let me think. You just need a lot of sort of parameters in order to get it to work. In this case, I needed to have a fairy to die in out of bounds water, and needed a chest to get to at that point, and then needed water to jump into. So there's actually not a lot of places you can do that in. And I mentioned that Deku Stick and Deku Nuts work on Virtual Console. Anything crashes on N64. So this is a Virtual Console exclusive glitch, and it's not version specific. It's just Virtual Console can do it, and N64 can't. Emulator can also do it, but it can only use Deku Seeds, which crashes Virtual Console. It's a very strange sort of way it works. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. People don't understand exactly why all of it works exactly that way. They sort of understand, why the glitch works or why it gives certain items. A lot of them were theorized. I personally actually tested the slingshot one. I don't know if I was necessarily the first one to discover it, but I was the first one to have a video of it. And you can also get the Goron tunic in the well, which would actually help out my sort of theme here, but it's for other reasons I wanted to get the slingshot there. It'll help with a trick coming up right now. So it's a very cool glitch. You can get a couple cool things with it. You only get one shot at it because it requires you needing that animation for picking up something for the first time. And in this case, I picked up the stick for the first time. It's in my inventory, and because of that, I won't ever have that animation again, so I can't really trigger the glitch again. Unless there is actually a way you can, but it's really hard and needs really precise timing. I don't find particularly necessary for this. So cool trick. So I'm back in the graveyard here. I'm gonna try to do a really tough glitch. I had a lot of trouble with this. Doing it with just Bombchus is very tough. So this animation, I just want to mention, is the important one. So a lot of tricks that are really tough, or a trick that's really tough to do. Oh, and sorry. There's a trick I just did that's so second nature that I didn't realize I was doing it. ISG. A lot of people are familiar with that one, obviously. Infinite sword glitch. You're basically slashing your sword constantly, and that causes a lot of secondary effects. So right now I did a super slide, a whole other trick. Slide you over here, and because of ISG, it lets me float in the air, which happens because I tried to pick up a piece of grass, which I can't do because I don't have a power bracelet or anything. So what happens is I get sent super far back while trying to pick up a piece of grass, which is what caused that slide backwards. I get enough height, and when I let go of shield, it stops the slide, and it puts me back at the coordinates of the piece of grass, but with the height of where I was at, so it shoves me super far up in the air. So sorry, a lot of really complicated stuff that just happened. That's actually sort of just something that happens a lot in speedrun, or in doing speedruns. Not that you do it a lot in a particular speedrun, that, you know, every time you do a speedrun, you're probably doing something like this trick. So, and it just has a lot of sort of basics to it that sort of came up real quickly. I'll try to explain a little bit everything about that more in depth as I go on when I have time to explain it. So I'll be revisiting each of those tricks a little bit more. The ISG, the super slide, the way I rolled sideways, that's actually not necessarily a trick, but a specific mechanic of the game that maybe a lot of people don't know about or don't know how to work necessarily. Me shooting back to the piece of grass to go up in the air. I'll try to explain all that more. So I'm doing all that was to get up here on the seam, and because one of the side effects of the ISG, infinite sword glitch, is that you can't really fall off edges, which is why I can do this safely. And I do that to get up here and to be safe. If I wanted to get hover boots right now, I could. You just side hop into the Shadow Temple from up there. Really very easy. But I'll be saving that for later. What I'm going for is a little bit more complicated. And again, it's a pretty hard trick. Alright, let's see if I can do this. Oh no. Dang it. Okay. Alright, so I'm down here. Kind of a weird sort of sequence of events right there. I basically used the Bombchu to get to this particular position. To get down here. I'm going to try to get a little bit lower. Okay, perfect. So now I'm in this really cool spot, and if you can see this pillar, this column there, I'm going to be trying to land in it. There, perfect. And now I'm in the hookshot room. So really, really complicated. Well, it's not necessarily complicated, but it's actually a very tough trick. I did a lot of pausing. That was just to get the right frames. We couple that pause buffering, you sort of advance the game one at a time. One frame at a time. Advance the game one frame at a time. It lets you sort of do frame precise tricks much easier. Much more convenient on Virtual Console, just because the pausing is a lot faster. Anyways, so the loading zone for the hookshot room, you know, it's here. It's here as a child. There's just sort of a solid surface over the hole, so you can't normally enter this as a child. But since I'm trying to get adult stuff as a child, that's what I'm doing. Going through this to get the hookshot as a child. There's nothing in here really preventing you from doing it once you get inside. I put on the healing shield just so I wouldn't lose my DP shield. All that fire will burn your shield, and then I'd have to get another one. So, which isn't a big problem, but it is just annoying to have to do that again, so avoided it. So, got here under a minute. That's actually pretty slow for a speedrunner. They can get here very quickly. I just hit a bunch of fire. But it's good enough. It's even good enough for the heart piece, which I'm not getting or anything. But you can do it. It's not too hard. It's basically memorizing where he is and responding fast enough to the fire to hopefully not get hit by it. But yeah, so nothing stopping you from getting the hookshot. Oh, obviously, no, of course I can't use it at all. I can't equip the hookshot. And there's very little you can actually do to sort of use adult items as a child, even if you can get them. I do that to reset myself back to the beginning. To leave here. I didn't necessarily need to do that, but I think it's actually kind of tough to get out from the other direction. So this just lets me reset back to the graveyard, getting some hearts. So I already have a nice little collection of items. A lot of stuff you're absolutely not supposed to have at this point in the game. But I'll be getting even more cool stuff in a bit. First, I need to get this, and I'll be doing a little glitch here. So I swing my bottle, pause, and then switch bottle down here, and now I have an empty C right button, right? But that's where the bottle used to be, or that's where the bottle was when I started swinging it. So when I catch something, it puts it there. So what I have right now is essentially sort of a phantom bottle. It's a bottle of bugs, and that's nowhere in my inventory. And that works because of the way the bottle mechanics works, as well as how the C buttons work. So that two in concert sort of causes that. The C buttons act as sort of like a mini inventory in and of themselves. They can be modified without the inventory being modified as well, and vice versa too. You can modify your inventory without it affecting the items that are on your C buttons. So it's really a interesting little quirk about the mechanics of this game. It also is a sort of a quirk about how bottles work. The way they update themselves. When you catch something, it updates the C button of where you started the swing, not where it currently is, which is why it caused this to happen. A lot of tricks are caused by just the bottle, bottle being weird. So, cool little thing there. I'll probably be explaining a little bit more as I go on, because there's just so much that the bottle does. But for now, I want to show something. I'm doing a little thing here to sort of avoid the owl. So right now, if I were to go as fast as possible, I can make it to the bridge before night, and I could just get in. But there's actually a little thing you can do to get into the castle at nighttime if you sort of missed it. The bridge has to have been down when you load Hyrule Field, but right now it's going up. But I can still get in. So if I were to go right here, and the chain is still here, I can get on this chain, and if I were to then load the rest of the bridge, it pops you back up. It's a way to get into the castle at night, as long as you sort of entered Hyrule Field during the daytime. And it just does that because of the way it sort of loads the bridge. So it's sort of just normally you can actually just get in there in the daytime if you're fast enough, using backwalking or just rolling well enough. You can get there from the forest or from sort of when I went down the river. You can get into the castle in the daytime. It's a little tight, but you can do it. And this is just a good backup just in case you sort of fail it. So another cool little trick here, the doors don't really have like a collision on the top. So I sort of squeeze myself through the wall there without hitting the loading zone for that shop, because I don't want that. I want to go in this shop because I want to buy this Poe. Super useful. So it puts that in my bottle, my real bottle, but I still have this sort of fictional bottle in my C buttons, which works as a bottle. I can let go of bugs, catch bugs. I just can't like equip it anywhere else. I can move it around by sort of putting like the Poe there, and that shifts them, but it doesn't get rid of it. Really cool detail. So I basically have two bottles right now, even though I only have one in my inventory. And I have to buy a Poe, or if I buy a Poe, it has to be put in a bottle in your inventory. You can't put stuff you buy into a bottle that's just on your C button into this fictional bottle, because the game doesn't really see it when you're buying stuff, but you can catch stuff. Okay, so I bought that Poe because I will be using it right away. But for now, I'm done with the sort of the Kakariko section and the castle for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and reset, put me back in the forest, and I'll continue off from there with a lot more cool stuff and a lot of pretty awkward stuff that will come back in the future to be useful. So I'll explain that as well. Yeah, so that's it for the part 1 of this. A lot of cool stuff coming up in the next section though. So thanks for watching.